Thank you very much. It is called the coach's bump, the wins you hope to get after you make a coaching change. And for the Oilers, it went well beyond that under the direction of Kris Knoblauch. Welcome to After Hours.
Yeah. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Are they getting this program in Hartford?
I don't believe they do.
Okay. I asked that because Hartford is your home, and that's where your wife Autumn is with the children, Merrick and Emery, until you relocate them to Edmonton. And we will get into that. But first, the Oilers, with all their talent, should be winning. That's been the battle cry since the start of the season, and you went on that spectacular 8-game win streak. That's a coach's bump like no other in recent memory. Streak came to an end Thursday night against Tampa Bay, and the tough loss tonight. Louie.
You mentioned when you walked on here, not the start you necessarily wanted to have, but you have to credit them. They were hungry after a couple shutout losses. How did you see the game go tonight?
Yeah, no, I think they took advantage of the first period. We made some mistakes, but we knew they were very, very hungry after losing the previous 2 games. We knew they were going to come out very strong. And, I thought we made some good plays. We had some good scoring chances definitely early in the first period. We didn't score, but we made some mistakes, and they certainly capitalized on them.
Kris, you took over a team that went 3-9-1, or had gone when you took it over. The danger would be perhaps in thinking then, well, the season's already lost, but you have managed to get your players to look at it in 8-game segments. Why is that important to you?
Well, I think they look at the standings and look at how far they have to make, and they obviously want to see that playoff line and reach that spot. But it's an 82-game segment. It is so hard to just look at the finish line. They just had to break it down the segments and look at what they had to do in the short term. And we kind of broke it down where if we just go 5-3 in those 8-game segments, we're in pretty good position to make the playoffs. And I think that was something they need to see, that just relax, go play hockey, and just win some hockey games.
Or more simply put, play it 1 game at a time, because I don't think anyone's ever played 2 at one time, right? You are coaching with one of the greatest players in the history of the game, Louie.
Yeah, Paul Coffey. I mean, what's it like being on the bench with him? And obviously hasn't had a ton of coaching experience, but you said that his relationship with the players has really paid off early on, with him just being able to speak hockey and get them to kind of buy into what you guys are trying to preach. But talk about that relationship with him and how he's been with the guys in the room.
I think Paul's been outstanding with the players, especially with the defensemen. He spent a lot of time with them, talking to them, developing relationships, and he's been doing this before he got behind the bench. His position as advisor with the club, and so all the defensemen, all the players knew him quite well. I just think there was just a calming influence back there, and telling him to do little things on keep moving the puck, moving your feet, get up ice, a lot of skating, just trying to simplify him, calm him down. And you've seen the effect that his presence has back there. It's just all 6 defensemen have been playing so well.
He's pretty quick-witted too, isn't he? The one-liners, did you throw any out in the bench? I can't hear with the headset on, but I'm sure he probably chirps a little bit.
I'm sure he does. Unfortunately, Stu is intercepting. He's in between us, and I don't get to hear all his quick wits.
I think perhaps most noticeable during the 8-game run was an improvement in defense, maybe more of a commitment. And, if I was coaching the Oilers during that streak, I probably would have gone to Paul Coffey and said, Paul, whatever you're doing back there is working, keep doing it. Am I onto something?
We obviously did play a lot better defensive hockey, and I think that goes from our forwards helping out, back checking a little bit harder, defense not pinching at poor times, and sorting things out on the rush, but also our goaltending playing a lot better. So I think it was a mix of all those things, but we want to keep playing like that. And you notice any team that there is a coaching change, it's usually defensive struggles. And any successful team that goes to the playoffs and it has success in the playoffs, you have to be able to play some good defensive hockey. It doesn't matter what system you're playing. Every team has their own way to do it, and there's many ways to be successful. You just have to be bought in, and everybody has to do it.
A moment ago, we had a piece of video that showed vintage Paul Coffey, and then we saw his banner hanging from the rafters here. So Nick asks, do you get starstruck working with Paul Coffey every day?
Well, between my office is right between Ken Holland, who's in the Hall of Fame, and Paul Coffey. So I'm in good company there.
All right, let's go back to the day you found out officially that you were going to get your first NHL head coaching job. Where were you, and how exactly did you hear?
Oh, it's happened so quickly. It happened. I got the job on Sunday, or as announced there, and it was only a couple days before that. But I got a call from Ryan Martin, I got off the ice. We had practice in the morning. When I got off the ice, I got a call from my video coach to call Ryan Martin. And usually when I get those messages, it's you're losing 1, 2, maybe 3 players because the Rangers have sicknesses, injuries, or something like that. So I was getting prepared to, okay, we're losing some guys. But I got the call that the Oilers are interested and wanted to talk to me about the position, and I wasn't expecting that at all. And we didn't have very much time between that. There was only a few days. And between those 2 or 3 days, I also had to get prepared to coach 2 games with Hartford Wolfpack. We were playing Friday, Saturday. And I was trying to get prepared to possibly take over another hockey team.
Who's the first person you shared the news with?
It was definitely my wife. That's something that's very important to us, and it was a shock. We didn't know what to say or prepare for this, and we didn't get into telling our kids or anybody else because we didn't know if it was going to really happen. It was kind of a long shot, and eventually I told my wife, and we talked about it, and then when it actually came to fruition, that we shared that information with our kids. That was Merrick and Emery. We told them the day before I left, and that's when that's how it happened.
So your business card, Kris, could be the same as almost any other coach. Have knowledge, will travel. Hartford was the 5th stop in your 17-year coaching career. This was your 5th season there, which is to say that your family was nicely settled there. Your wife, Autumn, working as a speech pathologist. Your children, Merrick and Emery, well established in school. Even if the goal, and there's the family, even if the goal has always been to be an NHL head coach, how soon was it before you started to think, how's this going to work with me in Edmonton and them 4,000 kilometers away in Hartford?
Yeah, no, it's very difficult. And we knew it was going to happen sometime, whether I was coming back to the NHL as an assistant coach or the far opportunity, being a head coach. We weren't expecting it to happen mid-season. But my wife, Autumn, is very familiar with the hockey world and how difficult it is with the travel, especially in the NHL. You're always traveling the day before. You're spending long days at the rink, and you're not, obviously, especially when you're starting off in a new position, that you're probably not at home all the time or very little. And, it's tough for them to uproot their life and move where I am, where I'm probably not going to be available very much. So right now the plan is that they are staying in Hartford, finish that year, and get us back together again after that.
But the schedule may help your Christmas plans, Louie.
Yeah, the Ys really are the superstars, though, aren't they? It's incredible. They hold the fort when you're doing what you need to do to be successful in your line of work. And the schedule does kind of help you a little bit here. Going to New York for 3 and 4 days, finish off with the Rangers on Friday. You're going to stick around and go right home after that and have a break for Christmas with the family. So it works out pretty well.
That works out very well. I'm very happy that we're not on the West Coast and have to fly all the way back to the East Coast. The family will be in New York for that last game, right before our break. And after the game, I'll be driving back to Hartford, and we'll be spending a few days there. So it'll be a very nice reunion. They came, the week after I got the job. They were here for that Sunday game against Anaheim that we won, and they were only here for about 2 or 3 days, and unfortunately they had to leave right away, and I haven't seen them since, so I'll be very excited for that reunion.
Great. Let's talk about your entry into the world of coaching, and in fact, I think it started around the age of 10 when you were the de facto coach of the Montreal Canadiens. Share that story with us.
Growing up, the family Montreal Canadiens fans, and Montreal always made the tour through Alberta right around New Year's, and we weren't in school, so we'd go and watch some hockey games, and we were in Calgary and Edmonton, and I was trying to get the coach at the time, Pat Burns, wrote him a letter and gave it to the front desk to deliver it to him, so I'm not sure it ever made it to him. But on there,
well, let's assume it did.
I had asked for him to send some players down so we could meet and get some autographs. But I also had some thoughts on how the team should be playing and some line combinations that I thought would help the team.
I think that's great.
Perfect.
You know, and so now you in this position, you said you are starting to get recognized out in the public quite often, which it'll get more and more. But some 10, 11-year-old comes up to you and tells you what you should do at the power play. You might just listen a little bit. I
will. I'm thinking he's probably got some good ideas.
Yeah.
Okay, you started out as an assistant with the Prince Albert Raiders in '06, where you looked like you might have been, 18 years old, but you were actually, I think, about 28. Is it true that you got that job because you were the only one willing to work for such minimal pay?
I do know that, and I know I've gotten a few jobs through my coaching career where other people had passed up, and I was, maybe didn't know what I needed to know about the situation, but also very hungry to get into the coaching world. And I know that first job that of a couple of people passed up, and I was fortunate to take that. And Peter Anhold was the first coach that I worked with, and he taught me a lot and gave me a lot of responsibilities when I was there. And unfortunately, I was only there for 1 year, but in the long run, it worked out because I ended up going to Kootenay after that.
Well, whatever it takes to get started, right? And then from Kootenay to the Erie Otters, where you coached some guy named McDavid for 2.5, 3 years. Louie.
Yeah, after you winning a championship with Kootenay in the WHL, you moved to the OHL, and this young phenom Connor McDavid's on your team there. Just talk about, number one, having him at that young of an age. Did you expect him to be the superstar that he is today, and now rekindling that friendship again now in the National Hockey League?
Yeah, when I was there, you never want to know, or you never know how successful a player is going to be, and you have a pretty good idea if they're going to go to the NHL and be a star player, but at that magnitude early on, no. He was 15 years old. He was a very good player at 15, 16-year-old. I believe he had 99 points, and him and Connor Brown were on a line together and very good, two good hockey players. But when he was 17, his last year in junior hockey, especially after the World Juniors, when he came back, he was at a whole different level. Like, just did not belong in the Ontario Hockey League. And won the scoring, or actually just shy of winning the scoring race to Dylan. Dylan Strome won it, but Dylan Strome played, maybe an extra 40 games or 30 anyways, between injuries and World Juniors. And seeing that, and especially I remember the one playoff series against the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds, it just totally different level. You knew he was going to be a star and a very good one in the National Hockey League.
Who wouldn't have been proud over coaching Connor McDavid or having had anything to do with his development? And that includes your family. Witness this question asked at a post-game presser here in Edmonton.
How fun has it been to coach Connor McDavid?
It's been a great pleasure coaching Connor. Obviously, he's a great hockey player. You see that on the ice, making plays that very few can, but also the leadership he provides to the team it helps the coaches a lot.
So that question was asked by your daughter Emery, and you answered it as professionally as possible. Nicely done. Here's a question from Coach Rex. Coming into tonight's contest, and he's done some research here, Kucherov led the league with 20 goals and 50 points on 140 shots. McDavid, 11 goals and 40 points on 75 shots, nearly double the shots. McDavid is not shooting as often as last year. Are you encouraging him to shoot more lately?
Well, I think a lot of the play is always situational. Connor's obviously playing with two really good players right now who've been able to score, and it's also determined on a player getting a lot of shots on how the team plays and the situations. And Connor, how well he shoots the puck, and you saw it last year with I believe the 63 goals that he scored, that yes, we would like him to shoot a little bit more, but I think he's pretty good decision maker.
Passing the puck.
For me to tell him what to do, it's some things that are left better off with him.
Got it. Your first win as Oiler head coach was against the Islanders November 13th. The star of that game was Leon Draisaitl, but afterwards the players gave you the game puck. There had to be some nerves in your first game as an NHL head coach. How much did the game puck make you feel like you belonged?
Yeah, it was. I probably would have had some nerves if I had a little more time to think about it. It was such a whirlwind, such a rush to get here and play in that first game. There definitely was some nervous energy before the game, but as soon as that puck drops, it's a little bit different. The fact that we won that game was special, and Harry, one of our equipment managers, was able to manage to get my wife on FaceTime, so she was able to congratulate me, and the players giving me the puck. It was definitely something I'll remember always.
Harry is Brad Harrison, by the way, just
That's
so people
great.
know. Speaking of the Islanders, whom you beat that night, you played 3 years in the Western League after your first, which was split between Red Deer and Edmonton. The Islanders made you a 7th-round draft pick, 166th overall. Where were you on draft day?
I didn't go to the draft because I obviously got. It was in Pittsburgh. I don't even know that. I was at the lake with my billet, Eric Debander. I'm not sure which lake it was, somewhere close to Edmonton. And I remember getting the phone call and telling the people and around me, and they had the idea to throw me in the lake, and so that's how I remember it. And then after that, I remember coming back into the town, into Edmonton later that night, and Jay Henderson was a teammate of mine. He also got drafted, and I believe it was the 9th round. And we got to spend the night together.
Louie and I looked long and hard to see if we could find something from your well-traveled Western League career, and this is all we could find.
It's a pretty good tilt, too. Do you remember this one? Have to remember this one, right?
It was one I won, I guess, and I have to remember it.
Absolutely. You forget the ones you lose, right? Don't remember those ones, but
That was with a guy named Quinn Sherdahl, right?
Yes,
And,
it was.
He's obviously with Swift Current, and we'll see here in a moment as you end up right in front of the Swift Current bench. Take notice now of the guy standing behind the Broncos bench. We'll see him here in 1 second. There he is, a very young Todd McClellan.
looking pretty intense. How would you describe yourself as a player, though, Kris?
Wanted to be offensive. Didn't have quite the skill. I think a lot of players are like that at the time. I think what definitely held me back was my skating. I wasn't strong enough, obviously looking back with the things that you would do differently, spend a little more time on power skating, more time in the gym. But I certainly enjoyed my experiences, but as a player, you always want a little bit more. And I feel if I would have done some things different, maybe I would have had a little more successful career. Not necessarily make it to the NHL, but just been a little bit better player.
Yeah.
So the University of Alberta was a better choice for you than a pro career, and let us not leave out the most important part of you making the decision to go there. This is a love story, ladies and gentlemen. You chose the U of A because you had met while playing for the Edmonton Oil Kings.
I met my future wife.
And she was going to the U of A.
That's right.
So it was an easy decision.
Easy decision.
Perfect.
But when I say the first time I played, I remember going back and playing an exhibition game or a tournament back at the University of Saskatchewan. I remember the first time I came in there and it just didn't feel right. I was like, this is kind of where I felt like I should have been playing. That might have lasted the one weekend. After that, I was definitely very happy that I chose to be a Golden Bear because my experience there, the 5 years I got to play there, was very special. I wouldn't have traded that for anything.
Yeah, and you had that very nice 5-year career with the Golden Bears. Louie.
Amazing organization, and the program they have at the University of Alberta is incredible, and you were a part of that. You won a championship with the Golden Bears. Just talk about that time and how maybe it influenced you as a young person to think about coaching in the future with a guy like Rob Daum at the helm that was known to be such a terrific coach.
Yeah, no, I absolutely have a lot of respect for Rob Daum, and he was my coach for all 5 years there. Tremendous respect. He was a great coach. We also had some guys from Pro come and join us for some skates, and made it a lot more enjoyable.
It was fun. Mike Comrie and I skated with you guys for 2 years while I was waiting to get a contract. I couldn't believe how hard you guys worked. There's Rob there. And Rob was nice enough to let us come out and skate with you guys, and you guys put us through the ringer.
Louie was on the record earlier today as saying he had to work harder with the U of A Golden Bears than he did with
It was incredible. I was so impressed with how hard you guys worked. I really was. You guys came after studies, after school. The practice were in the evening, and you guys left it out there every day. But you talked about the competition today there with that extra line and extra people. You were always fighting for more time, and that kind of sparked that competitive nature.
Well, there was a couple of things. One, we had a lot of good hockey players, graduating mostly from the Western Hockey League. But, we had about 5 lines, so a lot of guys were hungry to get in the lineup, so there was a lot of competition. But we had a lot of players who had aspirations to go and play pro after.
Yeah.
Some of the players, like eventually, not during my time, but like Derek Ryan played for the Golden Bears, and obviously he's moved on to the NHL, and we also, many of us had that same aspirations, and it didn't work out. A lot of guys did go and play some pro and a lot into the American Hockey League, but no NHL games. But, we were still pushing. There was a lot of pride, and it was a wonderful organization.
Yeah, Golden Bears are the state of the art when it comes to Canadian college hockey, 16 times national champions. Has it ever struck you that you could be the biggest thing as coach of the Oilers ever to come out of Imperial, Saskatchewan?
Not anymore. There's a goaltender in Arizona that's has been doing a pretty good job in stealing my spotlight.
Yeah, he had a shutout last night with Arizona. So here's Imperial. It's halfway between Regina and Saskatoon. Population 372 as of 2021, an increase of 12 people from the previous census in 2016. So we can safely say Imperial is growing. It has a rink with artificial ice. Fortunately for you, because if it didn't, you would not be here. What was it like growing up in Imperial?
I wouldn't trade it for anything. I absolutely love it. I love visiting when I go back. And as a small town kid, being able to go down to the rink almost any time you want, skate. The rink was open almost any time to go with your friends. It also helped. My dad was working there for many years, which made it a lot easier. So, I absolutely loved it. Wouldn't trade it for anything.
30 seconds left, so we've got to get this in. Don Neufeld says, ask Kris if his grade 1 teacher, Mrs. Lewis from Imperial, taught him any life lessons he's still using as Oilers head coach. Lois Lewis is alive and well, walking 18 holes of golf all summer in Saskatoon.
Yeah, I was just talking about that, Mrs. Lewis, with my parents who are visiting right now, and told me how well she's doing. And obviously I had a lot of good teachers at the Imperial School, and she was definitely one of them. I enjoyed it.
Perfect. Kris, I want to thank you for your time tonight. Thanks for joining us on After Hours.
Thanks, Kris.
There's Kris Knoblauch, who has the Oilers headed in the right direction, our guest on After Hours. If you've been wondering about this pin on my lapel tonight, it is a Regina General Hospital nursing pin, and I've worn it tonight in memory of Mildred Forsyth, the mother of our director, Ron Forsyth. Mildred graduated from nursing school in 1949 at age 21, and she nursed for 41 years. It's just one of the ways that Mildred made the world a better place before she left it this week at age 95. It was a life well lived.